Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mastering the Game, a newsletter, podcast, whatever you call it, segment where we bring in tales and stories from the people contributing to the sporting domain and ensuring the knowledge, the expertise is carried on for legacies and generations to come. And joining me here is a well-renowned, established, I wouldn't say a physiotherapist as such, but a guiding mentor in the world of sports medicine, the one who has an incredible experience across so many sports, has so many athlete stories, and moreover, a trophy cabinet that many Indians dream to have. Joining me is Dr. Vivek Nigam, head of physiotherapy at Jamshedpur Football Club. And man, there's a lot of things that we can speak about Dr. Vivek, but here he is, Vivek Bhau, as I like to call him during our conversations. Dr. Vivek, thanks for joining us here.
Thank you for having me, Pradyumna. It's always good to share uh, experiences, and I'm happy that I'm here.
Right. Dr. Vivek, this is a very interesting question that people actually asked me when they got to know that I am sharing the center stage in the middle of Tata Nagar in Jamshedpur with you. Many people who have followed your work over the years always had this question. How exactly you fell in love with the idea of sports medicine and what exactly inspired you to make sure that you would want to have a career, especially in sports physiotherapy?
There is a story behind it. You know, when we do our graduation and when we finish our bachelor's, there is a phase where you do internship kind of a thing. So during the internship, there were many people, many seniors, many mentors who were, constantly guiding me to take this specialization, that specialization. It's always a little bit confusing because sometimes you need to understand what's going on in the market and things like that. So what happened was, since a very young age, I was always keen into traveling. My dad used to travel a lot throughout India, and that travel bug was always there. My dad was a sports person as well, so he always, though I am not, but he always kept me, aligned with something kind of an activity or a sport, something like that. So when I finished my graduation, my inclination was towards neurology. I used to like a lot neurology, but in the end, I there were certain aspects of the neurology which I didn't like. So I didn't want to do injustice while doing specialization in neurology and not taking care of those aspects. So I thought, being, travel was always there in the mind, and then sports was somewhere in the background as well. So these two things combined, and which made me to choose the sports physiotherapy as a specialization in my masters. And that also helped me to understand where do I want to take the career ahead.
Right. So a takeaway message actually for all those people who are aspiring physiotherapists, especially specializing, that always listen to your calling, the inner calling, and that's exactly what Dr. Vivek did here. Also, at the same time, if I'm not wrong, once you were doing your specialization and once you were done with it, there was a phase in your life, if I'm not mistaken, where you were traveling cities and exploring multiple arenas, even in the domain of sports medicine. How did that go about, and was it something that you always considered, or you always wanted to be in a specific place and try out various combinations?
See, when I finished my specialization in sports medicine, physiotherapy, in masters, luckily I got a call from one of a very well-known sports scientist who was a South African, and that was, you can say, my luck or preparation or hard work, whatever you can say, that happened through certain kind of a social media interaction with a random person. And I keep telling the juniors and people also that, you need to use your social media wisely, and you need to use to understand where it's taking you. For me, it helped me to connect to people, to reach out to people, to network to people who actually helped me in shaping wherever I am right now. So my initial phase was working out of Delhi. I'm from Delhi, so working out of Delhi in Mumbai. So my first stint was working with Dr. Anand Joshi in sports med in Prabha Devi. There was his clinic there. And luckily, I got a chance to visit there, start my work in Mumbai with there. Although before that also, when I was doing my master, I got a chance to work with Basketball Federation of India and Indian Tennis Federation, very briefly though. And but it was a good experience and a good exposure before going out there in the market and really trying that uh, will it work or not. So actually, from there it started that okay, I'm good with athletes. I'm happy to be in that environment, and that helped me to at least step up a bit. And then I moved to Mumbai. From Mumbai, I moved to other cities as well, depending on wherever the projects are, wherever the teams were and the leagues are. So that was my stepping stone, and that was thing which actually shaped where I am today.
Right. And with the advent of sports and different types of leagues that came into the market of the industry, Dr. Vivek also had the opportunity to work across various teams, and hence the trophy cabinet that I was talking about. He has multiple I League titles to his belt, ISL Cups to his belt. Then there are PKL championships. There's an ISL Shield. And latest runners-up medal, which even I got to fortunately share with Dr. Vivek in the Kalinga Super Cup. But Dr. Vivek, if I have to ask you this about your first ever sports team job, how was that like, and what was the overall emotion of you like finally that day comes when you are stepping onto the field or the arena as a physiotherapist? What was that overall first job experience like?
See, like I told you, my first sporting experience came to me when I was doing my masters.
Right,
So, but that was I was a tournament physiotherapist for the Indian Tennis Federation in DLTA, which is in RK Khanna Stadium in Delhi. Then I was a camp physiotherapist in Basketball Federation of India, where there were many athletes. So per se, there was not a team kind of a sport, but my first experience was when Bengaluru FC started. That was in 2013, I guess so, if I'm not wrong. And yes, I was there since the day one of Bengaluru FC when the team came up. Luckily, was a uh, it was like luckily I was there, I was present, and I was there since the first day of the BFC started. So that was my first team experience, and that was of course amazing. But if you move ahead further, there were certain other teams also where I was involved day one, and even the leagues, if you can say like Pro Kabaddi League, uh, you can say Indian Super League, and yeah, things like that. But Bengaluru FC, when I started, it was my first team experience. That was an I League, and BFC was a new setup, very exciting, very enthusiastic. Uh, so that was my first team experience there.
right, right. When you talk about team experiences right from 2013, and you've been a traveling physiotherapist since now over a decade and a half, what are the key scientific modality changes that you've observed right from your initial days to right now, where you are sitting as the head of physiotherapy in Jamshedpur? What are the progressive technological or scientific modulations that you observed? What the need of the hour, or something that you observed beforehand but took time to implement only because of certain uh, inhibitions, maybe from the fraternity or maybe from people who were quite hesitant to to execute those kind of ideas. What are those things which were used back then, and how do you think it has evolved over the period of years? Not just your experience in sports physiotherapy, but overall, as far as the entire domain is concerned.
So, as far as football is concerned, I think football was already having a lot of exposure from outside India and everything. And but I would like to focus on kabaddi. So,
Yeah.
when Pro Kabaddi started, that was I think season of 2014, and it was a new kabaddi league where the athletes were picked and chosen in a franchising format. It was a exciting and a new format as well. So there, my challenge there was to make people understand sports medicine, sports rehabilitation, uh, get the athletes introduced to this kind of a setup and a scenario, I would not say I was the first one who made the change, but I think I was the first mover in kabaddi where sports medicine, sports science was kind of introduced in the terms of their testing. First of all, we used to do, it was very new for the kabaddi players then, but now it's very common for all the kabaddi players and kabaddi teams and franchises. We did testing for all the athletes to make understand the baseline values from where we want to start. We made them understand the importance of rest, recovery, hydration, nutrition. They were kabaddi players who were very senior than me. I was still young, and to make them understand, break their orthodox beliefs, like, for example, to have a glass of milk before sleep, having parathas with butter and ghee and all of that. That used to help them. But when we are entering a league which is having matches very closely packed, and the stakes are high, it is very important to make them understand the importance of all of these things: hydration, nutrition, strength and conditioning, even from the basic assessments. So that was where I think will be the key change from all those years, which I saw, at how those players started changing, how those players started accepting all of these kind of a thing. Even if I go back to BFC, Bengaluru FC, uh, our coach introduced a very different regime in the sense of monitoring their diet and nutrition. For him and for us as a staff, it was very important to make footballers understand the importance of nutrition, hydration, sleep, recovery, not overtraining, not neglecting their small niggles and big niggles, which was initially very, you can say, difficult and a change for them. But now I think everything has been incorporated nicely and smoothly into the system.
Right, right. And initially, when you started off, I assume, or I am guessing here, was there an element where the inner sports fan inside you was also involved in the physiotherapist in you? You know, those initial days where you're always high on energy and you are loving the action, where your academic experience also needs to be balanced. How did you inculcate those moments of excitement into professional neutrality, if you get what I mean, where you are in the heat of the moment because the matches are happening so thick and fast, and you are emotionally connected or invested to the project that you're in, but also at the same time, given the profession that we're involved in, we are required to be neutral to our athletes or to the support staff or whoever is working with us, even if our domain involves fans for that matter. How was that experience like? How much time, or how did you make sure you maintain a neutral angle to these two things, be it enjoying the sport as well as making sure you're being neutral to whichever athlete or support staff member you're talking to?
See, when you are in a team setup and a league setup and a competition, and as a staff member, although I was not an athlete earlier, and for me it was not very difficult to phase in from being an athlete to a staff, where I see many people, like, when they phase in from an athlete or a sporting background to becoming a staff, for them it's difficult. For me, it was very easy to be professional, to be honest to whatever I'm doing, to be neutral to whatever I was delivering at that time. And also the emotional aspect is, initially when you start working in sports and the team and the environment, you're very highly and emotional. I i agree, sometimes we are emotional right now as well. But as the years pass, you need to understand, you need to judge where to react, where not to react, where to hold on to your emotions, because and at the end of the day, the athlete looks up to you as a mentor, as a guide, as a coach, as a staff member, who cannot, like, uh, explode in emotions. You have to contain that. You have to deliver what is needed, required at that moment, be it a winning phase, be it a losing phase, whatever it is. You have to be content. You have to be professional. You have to, um, maybe, control your things, so that, athletes pick up what they should be picking up, not the other side of you. I know sometimes it's hard and difficult, and but it gets trained into the system, and the reality. Everything comes to the streamlined.
Right, right. Also, at the same time, what I've observed is, since physiotherapists are constantly under the surveillance of players or under the surveillance of the staff, or sometimes even fans for that matter. And with a constant traveling schedule, be it kabaddi, be it football, be it cricket, be it any sport, uh, or be it even an Olympic cycle for that matter, how difficult is it for a physiotherapist to stay updated with the knowledge guidelines or with the modules or with any other congregations, seminars that they are pitched for? And given the fact that you are now at a head of physiotherapy setup where an administrative role is also involved in certain matters. How difficult does it get, and how did you adapt to those changes when life became busy while you were wanting to academically improvise on your own skill set?
So I'll go back again to my master's phase where we were made to do our thesis. So my thesis was based on an isokinetic machine, which I think certain people will understand and some people will not understand. During those times, I was the only guy in my batch who made three synopses. It is very rare in a 2 year format where you can make three synopses and a proposal and a thesis. But I was the guy who was a little bit more inclined to research always. So taking that thing from my masters to my working professional and the years, I'm always keen to keep reading, keep informed, being informed. Like I said initially, that using the social media.
Correct.
I use social media a lot to understand what's happening around the world in the field of science, sports medicine, rehabilitation, and it's always good for you to be aware what's happening in the market. I always tell people that it's always good to be aware to knowing what's happening, what's not happening, what's good, what's not good, what can work for you, what cannot work for you. It's always good for you. Yes, you truly said that in a hectic traveling environment, it's always very difficult to be updated, especially throughout the year when you are working day and night and when you are into the competition. It's very difficult for as a rehab professional to be updated. But I think that curiosity, that thing has to be there. That's what makes us all a scientist. That the curiosity has to be there. The curiosity will always keep you, going to understand, to keep knowing, to finding what's happening. And I think that has to be there in every professional, especially in science, especially in healthcare. You have to be curious and you have to be looking for answers throughout your
Right.
career. That's why we call it a practice. That's why it's like we all know it's like a practice.
Right, right. And since you've already had so many trophies under your belt, be it the ISL Shield with Jamshedpur, or be it the I-League Championship with Bengaluru, or the Pro Kabaddi League titles, if any aspiring physiotherapist is listening to this, what would you say to those people or those professionals rather about the key things that you experienced in your professional life so as to make yourself a winner? Like there are certain traits which a winning physiotherapist must have gathered over the years, and you must have gathered the same experience. And if you have to pass on that trait, what are those key things that you need to have if you have to have that winning combination within yourself? Guiding players is different, but as a staff member yourself, what do you need to do so as to prepare yourself for lifting that trophy? Apart from lifting heavy weights, so that if the trophy is heavy, you are able to lift it easier.
Yes. So see as a staff member, I think the most critical and the important aspect is what you give to your athletes. It's just not the winning mentality. It's just not the winning attitude. It's how you keep and treat yourself every day. I know it's very tedious. It's very tiring. You have to be a healthcare professional, anyways. You have to be always giving, smiling in the front of athletes. So when you prepare in this kind of scenario, I think it's all very important. You stick to your plan. You stick to your plan. You be neutral in the terms of highly reactive situations. There are many situations where athletes get emotional. There are situations where the teams get emotional, and emotion can turn in any form. It can be a positive or a negative emotion. I think the best part is for you to contain your emotion, stabilize everything, and stick to your plan. Your plan is to guide. Your plan is to give them a feel of a mentorship. I think that's the critical thing the physio should understand. They should They should respect whatever is happening around them. They should respect whatever the athletes are telling them, and then give your best forward answer or best forward reaction, be it in the form of a a positive talk or a you can say advice or a guide. So I think stick to your plan is the best way. You can you can prepare yourself for a trophy or a shield winning season, and don't deviate too much. Throughout the season, there are many things which are happening, ups and downs. Just stick to your plan, stay down to earth, stay grounded, and stick to your basics as well. So I think that's what keeps me and should be the thing for the physios doing and going ahead forward.
Right. And given that you've won so many trophies and shields, and your recent honor, apart from the Kalinga Super Cup silver medal, becomes the ISL Shield with Jamshedpur. And why that becomes special, if I have to tell you this, because firstly, lockdown season, everybody is in a bio bubble for the second straight season. Secondly, you had a new coach coming in. There was a change in management, if I'm not wrong, or internally you guys were stuck with God knows what kind of situations because you were handling it all by yourself. I mean, by yourself, by that I mean the whole team as such was stuck at a single zone. An absolute marvel in sports medicine, if I have to say, because in a pandemic, despite having the deadliest of waves, you guys stuck together and created history in the pages of Indian football by lifting that shield. Can you describe the day of the physiotherapist of a shield winning team, of that match day, which made you champions? Like, what was the inner Dr. Vivek Nigam thinking as a football fan as well as a physiotherapist? What was going through the mind through the day that made you champion that day?
So, yes, as you said correctly, the Shield winning season was actually not a normal season. It was a bubble season, and it was a season where there were many adversities. And
Right,
I think adversities are the situations which make you or turn you into what you are. So you show your real character and a true character. And it was a job of each and every single member of the team, uh, right from you can say the guy who used to drive us every day to the training, to the matches, even to the shield winning day. So it was kind of brewing already when we knew that we were heading towards getting the shield. And of course there are people like me also who believe in many superstitions, and they were luckily my wife was also there in the bubble, and we used to have a very big ritual on each match day that we used to follow, and we followed till the end when we were about to win the shield as well. So of course that day was we already knew that okay, we're gonna be there maybe in today's match or the next match, but we were already there. It was already brewing. So it was kind of a situation which was already into this boiling point, and we were like, let's get it, let's get it. So somehow let's grab the shield, because that's what we were as a team, as a whole, as a team, we were like hungry of. So yes, that day was very special. We followed all our rituals personally, professionally, whoever used to follow their ritual. I think in sports, the people will understand once the sport, there are certain rituals, superstitions, I want to say, and everything is followed till the last minute where you step onto the pitch, everything. So that was all done. And as I say, stick to your plan. We kept doing what we were doing. We were not overwhelmed. We were not excited a lot. And we were still doing what we needed to do, what we had to do. And then came the shield. And that was actually a very big moment.
right. An absolute magical moment in the 2021-2022 season where
Yes.
people from Tata Nagar ended up having the ultimate honor in Indian football. But Dr. Vivek, if I have to tell you this, and since I traveled across games from Mumbai to wherever we played our matches during the ISL or be it the Super Cup, there was one thing I was receiving from many Indian football faithful, be it professionals working in our industry or maybe fans in general as well. what I received, the feedback I received this season over the last 6 to 7 months is the season that we had in JFC this season, the last season, was considered even more special than the Shield winning season. And even if it is debatable, what personally do you think might have made people believe that this made people feel much more special, even if that Apuya goal cost us the place in the ISL final or Borja's long ranger cost us the Super Cup. But still, there was people say that this was a much more special season in Indian football when it came to JFC story. What do you think were the special elements that made people think that okay, this Khalid Jamil team is making wonders here?
I think I think before this season, they were one of the aspects is before this season we didn't have quite a good season as well. So there was a negative pressure building up that there has to be something, there has to be something, and then the special part of this team this season was we had all Indian staff, and that is, I think, a proud moment, a very huge moment, and I think it gives me goosebumps right now as well to being an all Indian staff in ISL. So if I go back to when the ISL started, it was in 2014, where people used to not believe in Indian medical people, Indian physios, Indian coaches. I will not comment about the coaches because that's not my stream to go. But let me tell you how difficult was it to be an Indian physio in the position of being a head physio and handling the pressure, because all the teams were hiring. There were certain teams having physios from Manchester United. There were sports scientists from Manchester City. There was staff like that where you were fighting. Even if I remember in my 2015 season where I was in Chennai NFC and I won the ISL Cup. That season also there were only two or three physios at my level who were Indian. So that from that phase and that moment where I've seen people are not respecting and people are not accepting Indian as a staff, this season, this time, this year with JFC was actually very special for me, because I always keep fighting for the people who are born and bred in India, and then they should be given the best possible opportunity. Although they have to be capable enough, that's not a thing which we can forget. But I think that was the biggest thing which we had this season, an all Indian staff.
Right, right. Over the period of time as a sports physiotherapist yourself, you must have encountered so many different athletes, so many different people of cultural backgrounds or mentalities alike. Any specific case that you remember that makes you think that okay, this is something that generations of sports medical professions need to know about? Any specific case that you encountered or any specific situation which made you believe that okay, this is something that needs to be documented or presented in such a way that physiotherapists or sports medical professionals around the world need to get updated so as to move forward.
See, if I try to remember, there will be, I think, many cases like that. But I still think that for me, an athlete is a superhuman. For me, an athlete is a superhuman being. I always keep telling people that they have more capabilities than the common man has. The best part is you try to be clear in whatever the issues they are facing, and you have to be thorough enough that nothing is happening as sees. Was there or not?
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So I was saying that it's always good to be thorough and clear in whatever the issues they are facing. Secondly, you have to give them a positive feedback in the terms of whatever things they are trying to face. Even if the injuries you think, even the issues, the small issues or the big issues you think it's kind of pushable, you push towards that. And I think at the end of the day, you have to be clear in the terms of that the injury or the issue is not career threatening, it's not season threatening, it's not going to be adverse for the athlete. So uh, I can point out certain phases, like there was a player we had, Jemba Jemba, one of the midfielders in Chennai NFC we had with us. And then we had Bernard Mendy from he used to play in PSG as well. When he came to me, he said, "I want ultrasound." That's a very famous ultrasound therapy, the therapy one. That's a very famous thing which all the physios use, and I was very surprised to understand that why is he coming from France and say straightforwardly asking for ultrasound. So I think the cultural background, the things which the athletes have been exposed to, they believe them a lot. No matter whatever knowledge you have, no matter whatever clarity you have a role to tell them what's gonna work, what's not gonna not work. You're gonna tell them what's truth. But at the end of the day, you have to mend your things and techniques and whatever works for them to be able to play. There was so I was giving example of Jempa Jempa. There was one night where we had to play semi-final one in Chennai and FC, and Jempa Jempa got a very big knee pain. He and me visited a nearby MRI center in the night around 11:30 and 12. His knee was, if I term it in layman term, was absolutely torn. But we had a big match in a day, or the next day, and so he and me were sitting and having conversation, like what to do with this. Now, what's the next step? Although the match was like a do or die match, and of course Jemba Jemba was there. He was very keen enough to play. He told me, "You tie my knee like a rock, and I will play, and I will be okay." Now, in that scenario, in that moment, you're going to think all about your medical specialities and this and that. You know, no, he's going to, worsen the knee, worsen this, worsen that. Maybe the game is affected. So at the end of the day, you're going to take some responsibility, give some responsibility to the athlete, and then you're going to move ahead in the terms of whatever is required. Of course, if this situation was in the middle of the season, I would have not taken the risk and the chance because then might have lost him for the season. So I think that's a very critical juncture when you work in a team, when you work in a league environment to understand where to take the risk, where not to take the risk, and how far and big you think the risk is.
Right, right. Quite inspiring stories of at the time where athletes struggle to even walk, and here is a person who makes them run on the field and score goals and eventually lift trophies. I think that is a clear-cut mindset of how a champion staff member should uh, lead the way from the front. And if there's any one advice that you would like to give all those people who are currently studying bachelors or wanting to take up sports physiotherapy or even wanting to take up a role anywhere in India or the world, what is that one piece of advice that you would like to give to aspiring professionals looking up to you at this point of time?
The one piece of advice which I give usually is don't come for fame. It's not a job where you come for fame, for Instagram post. Although of course that comes with the job, and I'm not saying that's a wrong thing, but I think don't come for the fame. It's a very hard working job. It's a job which puts you in a lot of pressure and responsibility. It's a job, especially if I say in contact sport like football. It's very tiring and a very long job. If I remember in my first year of ISL, there were around 35 to 37 players we were having in our team, and the league was only 3.5 or 4 months. The matches were very close. We used to work till one in the night. We used to work till one in the night to get them prepared for the next day for the training. So for me, the advice which I'll give is don't come in for the just for the fame and all of that. Do come in for if you are okay to give a lot of your time to the work, a lot of hard work, and taking the responsibility in that sense. Because being a physio, the athlete truly loves you, and he absolutely blindly follows you. And that's a very important thing for you to understand that he has given his bread and butter in your hands, and you have to take the responsibility so that you also earn your bread and butter, and he's also happy, and you provide with them with the best thing possible.
Right. I don't think that could have been any better piece of advice right now to be given to any aspiring professional. The truth as well as the motivation, as always, from a very hardworking professional like Dr. Vivek. And I must say, if I have to give a testimonial about Dr. Vivek, I can personally vouch for this uh, constant hardworking ethical work of his, where I used to go to Jamshedpur. The first thing that Vivek sir used to tell me, "Zara wo patient ko dekho na yaar, वो match के लिए prepared नहीं है." I remember, constantly staying on the loop and making sure that the athlete is ready for the game and also not just ready to play the game but to win it. Is probably the message that even I would like to take it in the forward direction myself. Dr. Vivek, it's been an absolute pleasure. Of course, working with you across two tournaments as well as making sure that we have a little bit of job to do in the coming season. And there's this incomplete task, maybe turning the color of the metal of our medals from probably a certain gray to a certain gold. But there's still a long way to go, and I hope you inspire generations of sports healthcare professional, be it athletes or healthcare staff as well. Dr. Vivek, again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving your precious time from your schedule and making sure that people are educated and inspired from this recorded session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pradyumna. Thank you, your team and everyone to take this time out. And it was a very interactive and good session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All good, Aryan?